Hi folks, one of my new subs, Zishan Ali Shah, asked me to do a video on my UK knives. Now, all of these have been done at one time or another in the past, but I suppose they get a bit fragmented and they're maybe in the dim and distant, so just thought I'd do a quick one just to run through them. I don't have a huge number, I think there's only about 7 or 8. But my very first knife I ever bought was this one. Now this is a British knife. It was made in Sheffield by a company called Myson, Myson, and it's the British Navy, what was then the issued clasp knife, which has a sheepsfoot blade, a marlin spike and a screwdriver on the end. It's a fairly chunky knife, but they were issued from about 1938 right the way through the Second World War and stopped being issued in the 1980s. To be honest, they're not the best knife in the world, but when I was 8 years old and I wanted nothing more than to join the Navy and sail the world, to see a real Navy knife was something. And I just got my day boat certificate so I could take a boat out on my own from sailing club, and I thought, I'm 8 years old, I'm old enough to have my own knife. So I did have a few other pocket knives that various people gave me around that time, but this is the first one I bought. I think it cost me about 74p or something from the Pusser's store at HMS Claverhouse in Edinburgh, where my father was in the Naval Reserve. But anyway, that was my first one. More recently, I've got another in that ilk as well. I found this one in, I think it was either my stepfather or my father-in-law's stuff. There was a box that had 3 knives in it, one of which was this. So I suspect this is 1960s or 70s. It's certainly Sheffield made. And it's a similar idea to that, more like the Army one. Only the Army one had 2 layers and had a can opener as well as the blade and the marlin spike. But similar idea. This is a lightweight one, I think, made for the civilian market rather than for military forces, but it's made by the same sort of people that made military ones. So anyway, a couple of years ago I was looking for good British knives because I like the idea of good British knives, just like Americans might like good American knives. And I came across this. This is a tailor's eyewitness. Let's see if I can get this to focus, because it would be really nice if you can see it. It doesn't really want to focus, but see if I can bully it. There we are. Now it has this lovely file work on the spine, brass liners, ram's horn covers. And a very stiff action, but it's a very nice action. It's very square. See that when it's folded? You would normally expect, when you look at, the blunt end of a knife like that when it's folded, that it would look something like that. This one is very beautifully square. The consequence of that is that it has a very clunky action, because you've got to get over each of those corners. But even in the half stop position, again, it's absolutely square. So it's a lovely knife. So I have to use these brass openers because they're just a bit stiff for me, although it's getting easier. I just noticed when I'm opening it there that was somewhat easier than it has been in the past. It's a Barlow knife, so the pattern dates from the mid 17th century, 16 something, and you've got the long bolster and the teardrop shaped handle, and it is good with a Barlow. You've got the stamp on the bolster rather than a shield or badge on the scale. That isn't always the case. For example, this Boker, they've got the tree branding on the scale and not on the bolster. But there we are. So this is Taylor's Eyewitness, as I say, which is a Sheffield brand, has the I brand all-seeing eye of God, which you often see. Carl Schliepper in Germany used the eye brand as well. It's the all-seeing eye, which is a sort of biblical Masonic sort of thing. Same on the other side, nothing on the tang on that side. Anyway, I bought that, which I really, really liked. And then I bought a couple of other British knives on the back of it, and they were a mixed bag. The next one I bought was from Arthur Wright, and it's this one. Now again, I mean, it's a nice looking knife. It's got horn covers, and again some beautiful file work on the reverse. Just get that to focus again. Beautiful. I mean, this is even better file work actually, but where it lets itself down is the transition from the back spring to the blade is just horrible. And most of all, and I find this just absolutely heartbreaking, that's the stamp on the ricasso of Arthur Wright Sheffield, and it's totally indistinct. Why would you let a knife out of your factory that looks like that, especially when it's supposed to be a premium knife? Okay, the firework doesn't go up onto the blade like it does with the other one, but it does go all the way down and around the corner. We have a nice finish. It's a nice knife. I just find the fit and finish issues just really disappointing. Really disappointing. But I bought a couple of others from them. Now this one here is a very traditional pattern. Again, this is very old, sort of oldie world. Zoom out a little bit, I think. Running out of space here. Running out of space. So this was an oldie worldy pattern. This has been kicking around since God was a boy, I believe. And you find this in Britain, and then you can go over to Germany. Solingen is the other European centre of, or one of the other European centres of knives. You have a similar pattern of knife here. This one is the Ankermesser by Otto. Not British, but you can see it's the same sort of style of knife. The real difference is that yet again the fit and finish here is pretty awful. Now, the more I've had this, the more I just get used to it. When I first got it, I thought that was a bit shitty. But on the bright side, the ricasso stamp is clear as a whistle. And I put a better edge on it, so it's got a nice shiny edge. Arthur Wright knives just come blunt. It's just, you could wish it otherwise, but it is just the way it is. They just come without an edge on them, and you just have to sharpen them. I say that because of those two, and then I bought a third one, which is this one here. Again, the tang stamp is relatively distinct. It's it's readable. It's a bit maybe overdone on this one, but fit and finish on this again is pretty so-so, a bit gapping at the bottom. But I really like the design of this. You've got this cap which is presumably soldered to the end of the back spring, because I can't see how else it's fixed. It may be that it's pinned in somewhere inside. But anyway, it's very nice. Rosewood handle, hawkbill blade, no nail nick because it's hawkbill and you can open it without the nail nick. It's a nice knife, and the beauty of this, I think it cost about £22 or £23, and this one cost about 20. So it's a bit more, I don't know, I wouldn't say forgivable, but it's not so unforgivable that it's the fit and finish isn't so great. This one was about £60, and the idea of a £60 knife with that level of fit and finish is just horrendous. Now, going back to this one, this was made by a guy called Lee White at Taylor's Eyewitness, and I really liked that. So when I saw this come up, which is in mother of pearl, and it's made by the same man in the same place with the same degree of skill. This one's even stiffer because I use this one slightly even less perhaps. Again, you've got this lovely file work on the back. Again, it goes right up into the blade. You've got this beautiful thick slabs of mother of pearl with a black liner underneath them and in the brass liners of the frame. Again, you've got the stamping on the bolsters and the eye brand on the ricassos. Lovely polished blades. These came razor sharp, by the way, I should point out. You know, not that they can't sharpen a knife in Sheffield, they clearly can, but just not the Arthur Wright factory. These are horrible fingerprint magnets. You just can't avoid them, I'm afraid. It's just the way that they are. But they're beautiful knives, and I say they'd look even better if they didn't have the brass openers on, but I just need them because of my fingers. Anyway, they're both made by Lee White, both made by Taylor's Eyewitness, and that sort of completes my UK knife collection for the moment. I try to sort of spread things about. These are all UK legal carry as well. Even this, although this is slightly marginal on the blade length, it's just it's not illegal, but it's pushing it. I'm not worried I'm going to cut my fingers one day badly when I'm opening them on camera. But this is a sort of 3-inch cutting edge. It's more than 3 inches if you include the ricasso. But anyway, it's a nice knife. I enjoyed I've enjoyed having it, and it was the basis of my collection. But anyway, there you are. That's my British knives.